Here are the examples to help you understand how to use partial derivative. Find the first partial derivatives of the given function. As we can see, z is a function of two independent variables, x and y. In partial differentiation, we can take the derivative of the function respect to one of the independent variable and treat the other variable as constant. Let's solve the partial derivative of z respect to x. This means that we have to treat y as constant. Important tip for beginners: separate the constant from the variable before differentiation to avoid confusions. Y squared and 3y squared are constants. And this is partial derivative of z respect to x is equals to 3x squared minus copy y squared times 1. Then 3y squared will be 0. Now, for partial derivative of z respect to y, x must be constant. Again, arrange the function. These are our answers. For the second problem, let's try a higher order partial derivative. U is a function of x and y. Solve for the first partial derivative respect to x, so y must be constant. Negative sign of xy times derivative of xy, which is y. Now let's take another partial derivative respect to x. Again, remember you have to treat y as constant. And that will be copy negative y times derivative of sine is positive cosine, that is cosine of xy, then derivative of xy, y. And here's our second partial derivative of u respect to x. Now, solve for the second partial derivative respect to y, and treat x as constant. Here's the second partial derivative of u respect to y. For the third example, find the cross derivatives of the function shown. Cross derivatives, also known as mixed partial derivatives. To solve for this, take the second partial derivative of the first partial derivative respect to the other variable. For example, in the first partial derivative of u respect to t, x is treated as constant, and we use the product rule and get this result. And now, let's solve the partial derivative of this, but respect to x instead of t. That way, we solve the cross derivative. Remember this time, t must be treated as constant. So, copy negative 2 e to the power of negative to t times the derivative of 3t minus x, which is negative 1, and the second term will be 0. The first partial derivative is positive 2 e to the power of negative 2 t. Now, the first partial derivative of u respect to x. Treat t as constant and derive. For the cross derivative, derive negative e to the power of negative 2 t respect to t. And here's our answer. Equal cross or mixed partial derivative means they are continuous. That is all for today.
Data bio.